After a demonstration by Community Forest Association and conservation groups in Oloo-lua over the grabbing of a section of Oloo-lua Forest in Kajiado County, Environment CS Soipan Tuya and officers from the Kenya Forest Service earlier this week brought down a perimeter wall that was under construction within the forest. Before the demolition of the wall, Tuya held a baraza with the CFA members and community members and other conservation groups in the area, where she announced that the government will not sit back and watch as private developers and institutions carry out illegal activities in gazetted forests across the country.
We are determined and we are committed to conserve Oloo-lua Forest. We've been here since we came here in 1960. But maybe the documentation shows that we came in 1986. But this institution has been in operation, developing drugs and vaccines and conserving the forest since 1960 under National Museum.
So any title that has been issued within a gazetted forest, and it's not just in Oloo-lua, I think it's good for the notice of Kenyans that if you hold a title within a gazetted forest, it is irregular, it is illegal. So from this day, the Kenya Forest is instructed to begin the process of revocation of the titles within those three institutions and do a fresh process of assessing the research work that is going here and then replace the titles with special user licenses, because that is what is regular. We cannot have titles. We can only have special user licenses within a gazetted forest. So the process of revocation starts today for the irregular titles and replacing for the noble activities of research that are happening here with a special user license.
Last week, Community Forest Association and conservation groups held a demonstration over the alleged grabbing of 66 acres of land in the forest. A demonstration that bore fruit after the intervention by the Ministry of Environment.
Juzi tarehe 30 Saturday tulikuwa na maandamano hapa kwa sababu tuliona sehemu moja ya msitu huu wetu wa Oloo-lua ikinyakuliwa bila ya ruhusa fulani. Na tulipofanya maandamano haya tulituma ujumbe kwa waziri na pia kwa serikali, kwa CCF yani KFS, kuja tuweze kutatua tatizo hili kwa sababu unyakuzi huo ulikuwa mkubwa sana.
We have established that we have three institutions of government: the Institute for Primate Research, the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, and the Child Welfare Fund. Is it fund or society? The Child Welfare Society. These three institutions are semi-autonomous government agencies. For the Institute for Primate Research, they have been undertaking research here for quite some time, and that was the objective of the land allocated to them. The same for the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, but the directive I'm giving this morning is that the titles held by these two institutions are irregular, for the sole reason that you cannot have a title within a gazetted forest. Those two cannot sit together.
However, an investigation by K24 TV found out that there were powerful individuals in the Ministry of Environment and Lands who were pushing for the grabbing of the 66-acre land. They are seen to have been threatening some conservation champions and some officers from the Kenya Forest Service.
The Institute for Primate Research has begun a wall somewhere down the forest, a stone wall, without the proper, and there cannot even be proper consent to do a stone wall around a forest. So it's not even a question of whether the KFS allowed it or not. So that stone wall should come down immediately. So the process of revocation starts today for the irregular titles and replacing for the noble activities of research that are happening here with a special user license. And the amount of land to be allocated through the special user license must be commensurate with the research activities happening. Because I'm made to understand that the total land allocated is close to 500 acres, but when you look at the real research activities, you don't need that big parcel of land. And we do not have to degazette a forest for the purposes of research work by a government institution. If indeed the objective is research work, then it should really just happen within the protected area of the forest.
So far, some of the conservation champions have fled the area after receiving threatening calls over their efforts to stop the grabbing.
For the Child Welfare Society, I do not see the object for which they say they want to use the land for as one that is authentic. One, because the land was allocated in the 70s, as they say, and I'm still going to review the documentation. And up to this point, we do not see any activity that is in tandem with the objective that they say the land was allocated to them.
Oloo-lua Forest is facing threats from encroachment, grabbing, heavy pollution of rivers flowing through it, which are sources of Earth River, among other challenges.
We shall embark on vigorous fundraising to do the proper fencing for the protection of the forest. So no stone walls, and by all means, forest land is not no man's land.
Tuya called upon CFAs and locals who border the forest to keep an eye on any suspected activity within the forest. Dan Gaburu, K24, Nairobi.